students, this is the third session of the chapter atmosphere. In the first two lessons we discussed mainly about the importance of atmosphere. Then in the second session we discussed about all the 5 layers of atmosphere. So which are the 5 layers of atmosphere? Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere and exosphere. Now we are going to discuss about ozone layer. You know, ozone layer is mainly present in the second layer of atmosphere, that is stratosphere. Stratosphere is the second layer, where in the upper layers of stratosphere the ozone layer is present. Okay, so now what is ozone layer? You know, because you see ultraviolet rays, there are harmful rays from the sun reaching to the space, but this ozone layer which is present in the stratosphere do not allow these harmful rays to reach into the earth's surface. Okay, had it been reached to the earth, that would have been very harmful to the mankind and plants, animals and all. So it can cause serious diseases. So ozone layer is protecting us just like an umbrella in remaining in the upper layer of the stratosphere. So in this chapter we are going to mainly discuss about ozone layer, formation of ozone layer, then harmful effect of depletion of ozone layer. That means the depletion of ozone layer is taking place due to the human activities and other facts. So we will discussing about the depletion of ozone layer, then the harmful effect of ozone layer. Then we also discuss about global warming. There is an adverse impact on the level of temperature due to the depletion of ozone layer, and also other facts like emission of carbon dioxide in the excess level in the atmosphere, and due to the pollution and all, due to the industrialization, what is that, human activities caused adverse impact, negative impact on the earth, and that has added serious cause of global warming. Global warming is the increase of level of temperature in the atmosphere. So we will also discuss about global warming and the effect of global warming in this session. Children, let us start discussing about ozone layer. Ozone layer is found in the second layer of the atmosphere, that is stratosphere. You know that first layer is that troposphere and the second layer is that stratosphere. So the ozone layer is found in the upper layer of the stratosphere. So upper layer there find ozone layer. Okay, so ozone layer act as a shield of the earth atmosphere. Okay, how does it act as a shield of the atmosphere? Because it protects, so this ozone layer protect the earth from all the harmful rays from the sun. You know, children, we cannot have the direct rays of the sun. We cannot have the exposure of direct rays of the sun. Why? Because sun rays contain harmful rays like ultraviolet rays, infrared rays, gamma rays, etc. So these harmful rays, if directly reach to the earth, that is very harmful for all the living beings. So ozone layer is acting as a protective layer and observing the harmful rays from the sun. So ozone layer, it purifies the sun rays, and then only it, otherwise we can say it does the filtration work of sun rays, then allowed to reach the sun rays to the earth. Okay, so it is not harmful. Understood? So this ozone layer is present in the stratosphere, the second layer of the earth atmosphere. So this stratosphere is also known as ozonosphere. Now how does this ozone form in the atmosphere? The ozone mainly form, ozone here means what is O3. Okay, so it mainly forms, so we discussed, it is found in the stratosphere. So in the stratosphere, what is that? The sun rays, when it reaches, what is the ultraviolet rays in the sun, act with molecules, oxygen molecule. Okay, so oxygen we can say it is oxygen is O2. Okay, O2. So when sun rays reaches here in the upper layer of the stratosphere, what happens? So ultraviolet rays in the sun rays act with ozone molecules and split the oxygen and causes the formation of ozone. So O3 is formed. Ozone layer is formed due to the action of ultraviolet rays with the oxygen. So that ultraviolet rays split the oxygen atom to form ozone in the stratosphere. This is how the ozone is formed in the stratosphere. So we read from here. It is formed when the ultraviolet rays of the sun split oxygen molecules in the upper part of the stratosphere. Okay, so this ozone layer start observing the ultraviolet rays and other harmful rays which is reaching to the stratosphere. That means it is reaching to the ozone layer from the sun rays. Okay, now let us move on to the next page. You see this ozone layer. So this is what we discussed just now. We will read this. Ozone layer observe the harmful ultraviolet rays which would otherwise severely harm all living things. You understood that ozone layer, if the sun rays directly reaches to the troposphere, that is in the lower layer of the atmosphere, it is very harmful. So it do not directly reaches here, only reaches up to stratosphere. In the upper layer of the stratosphere there is ozone is there, that is formed, that is O3 ozone. So this ozone absorb the harmful rays from the sun and does the filtration work and then allow the sun rays to reach to the surface of the earth so that it is not harmful to the living being. Clear? Okay, now we continue. The next sentence we need to discuss is that ozone is present both in stratosphere and troposphere. How come? So the ozone which is present in troposphere, the ozone which is present in troposphere, so this is, and also stratosphere. Okay, so now what is the difference between the ozone which is present in the troposphere and stratosphere? Let's see. Yeah, ozone which is present in the stratosphere is how it is formed is that when the ultraviolet rays reaches into the upper layer of the stratosphere, what happens? It act with oxygen. Oxygen is O2. We learned before also. Okay. So ultraviolet rays, when it act with oxygen, what happens? The ozone is formed in which layer? Stratosphere. But how does the ozone is formed in the troposphere, the lowest layer? When the sun rays reaches, that means when the ultraviolet rays reaches into the troposphere and the ultraviolet rays act with nitrogen oxide. It acts with nitrogen oxide which is present in the troposphere and there forms ozone. There forms ozone. Ozone means O3. But this is very harmful. This ozone which is formed in the troposphere is very harmful. But most of the time you see huge quantity of ultraviolet rays do not reaches into the troposphere. The reason is that the ozone layer which is present in the stratosphere, it absorbs the ultraviolet rays from the sun. So the huge quantity of huge quantity of ultraviolet rays is not reaching to the troposphere, the lowest layer. So that this pollutant is not formed in a large scale. Understood? But nowadays you know that scientists says that there appearing hole in this ozone layer. There started appearing hole in this ozone layer, and this is a serious threat. How this hole started appearing, you know, there is taking place the depletion of this ozone layer. This ozone layer, no, it is a very thick layer. Okay, the ozone layer is a very thick layer, but nowadays, due to the thinnification of ozone, thinnification means depletion. Thinnification in the sense, what is that? Depletion. Due to the depletion of ozone, what happens? There appear hole. There appear hole in many places of the earth in the ozone layer. So this is a very serious matter. How? When it appear holes, what happen? So ultraviolet rays from the sun, so the sun rays directly start penetrating into the earth and reaches into the lower layer of the atmosphere. So there is no filtration work is done by ozone layer. Why? Because there appear hole. So ozone layer cannot absorb the harmful rays of the sun. So these harmful rays of the sun can reach to the earth and can cause diseases to the human being, and also can damage the plants and animals and all. So it is can damage the plants and their growth, and all these can be damaged. How? Because it causes serious diseases like skin cancer, cataracts, that means blindness in both animals and human being, and crop rotation, affecting the crop rotation and harvesting growth of plants. So such kind of serious impact, negative impact can be caused by the depletion of ozone layer. So depletion of ozone layer means thinnification of ozone layer. That means the ozone layer is this much thick, and if the depletion take place, means the ozone layer become like this, very thin, so that easily the hole can be appeared on the ozone layer. So that is very harmful. Clear? So let us underline these points. Here you see the points. Let us underline. Yes, so here you see we underline this. So ozone is present in both stratosphere and troposphere. Stratospheric ozone is produced by action of ultraviolet rays. The molecules of oxygen, ultraviolet rays, violet light, act with molecules of oxygen, while tropospheric ozone is produced with the action of ultraviolet light on the molecules of nitrogen oxide. Is it clear? So it is toxic. So you understood the difference between the ozone which is found in the stratosphere and troposphere. Stratosphere, it is very beneficial and it is a protective layer, but in the troposphere it is very harmful and it is pollutant and it is toxic. Then what is ozonizer? The machine which is made artificially, which is used to make the ozone, is called ozonizer. What is ozonizer? The machine which is used to make ozone is called ozonizer. Then the next is that ozone depletion and its harmful effect. We discussed just now about ozone depletion. What is ozone depletion? Thinnification of the ozone layer. So the thickness of the ozone layer is keep on decreasing day by day due to the actions of human being. And how these human activities are causing the depletion, so harmful substances like pollutants, when it reaches to the upper layer of the stratosphere, when it reaches to the ozone layer, these harmful gases react with ozone molecules and causes the depletion of ozone layer. Okay, so we will underline this points. Here you see, this is highly useful. Ozone layer is stratosphere threatened by human activities. Okay, so this layer is vital to human vital. So the human studies are proving that what according to the scientists, it says that about 50% of the depletion of ozone layer took place in the north and south pole, 4% over Australia and New Zealand, and 3% over Indian subcontinent. Why? Because of the industrialization and from the motor vehicles and from air conditioned refrigerators. What is that? So number of other human activities. pollutants are reaching into the ozone layer. We will be discussing which are the important pollutants which causes ozone. So it is discussing here causes of the discussion of ozone layer. So which are the important pollutants produced by human activities and causing depletion of ozone layer, that we will be discussing. So that due to the thinnification and depletion of ozone layer, there appear a hole. A hole is detected in the ozone layer over Antarctica and some other places also, so that the ultraviolet rays can enter the earth lower layers some extent through this ozone hole and may lead to the consequences, lead to the bad consequences. Clear? So now let us discuss what are the causes of the destruction of ozone layer. One of the important causes, that what? Chlorofluorocarbon, CFCs. So you must have heard about CFCs. Okay, so it's a kind of cooling agent which is this gas is mainly used as a cooling agent in refrigerators and air conditions. Other than refrigerator and air condition, and yes, which are the other? So what is actually CFC? It is a man-made synthetic industrial chemical containing chlorine, fluorine and carbon atoms. So CFC is mainly it's a compound of chlorine, fluorine and carbon atom. So widely used, it is mainly used as a fluid in the air conditioning. It is mainly used as a fluid in the air conditioning and cleaning agents. Okay, yes, then extinguishing fluid also, then spray cans, car propellants, and all these devices, the CFC is used. Okay, so when this CFC, sometimes the CFCs they release through the leakages take place sometimes from these devices, so that what happens, these reaches into the atmosphere, and when they reaches into the upper layer of the stratosphere, that is in the ozone layer, when it reaches, what happens, these CFC molecules slowly CFC molecules slowly releases what, through the leaks, and then they enter into the stratosphere, where intense ultraviolet rays split them. So when the CFC reaches into the stratosphere, ultraviolet rays split the CFC to form chlorine atom. So there forms CFCs when they reaches to the stratosphere, the layer of stratosphere. What happened? The ultraviolet rays is there. So ultraviolet rays act with CFC so that it release chlorine atom, and this chlorine atom, when it act with ozone, it release the oxygen and changes ozone into normal oxygen. Understood? So there take place depletion of ozone. Depletion of ozone. Okay, so like this, CFC causes the depletion of ozone layer in the atmosphere. Okay, then the next is that pollution by air traffic. You see, air traffic, we have studied about air traffic. Okay, so where there is no weather phenomenon take place, the aircraft passes through, okay, that particular space. So environmentalists nowadays they are worried that with nitrogen oxide which is released from aircrafts are also a serious threat to the ozone layer. Okay, that is also a great matter of worry about ozone layer. And next is that radioactive substances, like which are the radioactive substances, uranium, thorium, etc. These are mainly used in the nuclear reactors and all for making bomb, nuclear bomb. No, these radioactive minerals are used. Other than that, it is mainly used in the nuclear power stations and all. Okay, so these radioactive elements, they releases through different means and reaches into the atmosphere. Okay, so these radioactive waste, like again nitrogen oxide is also produced in huge quantity, and it is when it reaches to the stratosphere, it can cause depletion of ozone. Okay, then the next is that nitrogen fertilizers, nitrogen like chlorine, methyl bromide, these are all reaches into the atmosphere in different form, is a serious threat to the ozone layer. Then another point is the air pollution. Air pollution is taking place mainly smog. Smog is formed in smog is it is a combination of smoke and fog. It's a serious pollutant. Then other than that, leakage of lethal gases. How the lethal gases? Mainly from the what is that some power from gas plants. Especially you must have heard about Bhopal gas tragedy and Chernobyl gas tragedy and leakage of gas. In Visakhapatnam also gas is leakage took place recently. So when these what is the poisonous gases released through these gas plants due to gas tragedy and several other means, and also forest fire is also serious threat because it produces huge quantity of smoke. Okay, recently the Amazon fire, you must have heard about, large area of Amazon forest is being burned, so huge that is also a serious pollution, causes a serious pollution. So like fire in Sumatra Island, Indonesia and China, all these kind of tragedies are also serious threat and can affect the ozone layer and also can cause ozone depletion. Okay children, then next we are going to discuss about the greenhouse effect. Let's see what is greenhouse effect. Greenhouses are mainly found in the polar region. Okay, these are mainly found in the polar region. Now what is the use of this greenhouse gas? Greenhouse, not greenhouse gas. It is we are discussing about greenhouse. We are discussing about a greenhouse. Okay, what is this greenhouse? Greenhouse is actually what is the artificial environment is created in the polar region for the growth of plants. Okay, how this artificial environment is created for the growth of plants in polar region? Polar region, you see, temperature is very low. Okay, so their plants cannot grow, so they create an artificial environment with the help of glass house. Okay, how this glass house will help the growth of the plant? You see, this glass house will allow the sun rays. This allow the entry of the sun rays. Okay, that means this glass house will allow the heat energy, but this do not allow the heat energy to escape from the glass house. It do not allow the heat energy to escape from the glass house, so that what happened, this glass house retain the heat energy and create a favorable condition for the growth of this plant. Understood? So you understood that how this glass house create a favorable atmospheric condition for the growth of plant. How? Because it allow the heat energy to enter the glass house, but it do not allow the heat energy to escape from the glass house. For this reason, there is a optimum temperature is retained inside the glass house, which is very much favorable for the growth of the plant. So in this way, plants are grown in such kind of region. Then what is the relationship with this greenhouse with the atmosphere? You see, so this phenomenon is called greenhouse effect. Okay, so in the atmosphere also such kind of greenhouse effect take place because there are greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So which are the greenhouse gases? Let's see. You have to learn by heart the name of these greenhouse gases. They are water vapor, carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbon, methane and nitrogen oxide. These are the important greenhouse gases. So existence of these greenhouse gases are very essential. Why? Because otherwise the heat energy which comes from the sun, okay, it is in the heat energy received from the sun in the form of short waves. Okay, it is reached from the sun in the form of short waves, and the earth radiate back the heat energy. It radiate by send back the heat energy which is received from the sun in the form of long waves. Especially it happens in the night. Okay, long waves. This is called terrestrial radiation. So the heat energy which is received from the sun by the earth is called insolation. Next chapter we will study about insolation. Okay, so the heat energy which is radiate back to the earth radiate back to the space by the earth is called terrestrial radiation. Okay, terrestrial radiation. Okay, so that what happens is that these greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, water vapor, chlorofluorocarbon, these gases are present in the atmosphere, so they trap the heat energy. They act as a layer here and they trap the heat energy. So they allow the heat energy to reach to the earth, but they do not allow the heat energy to escape from the earth. So certain limit of these greenhouse gases are there. That is why the earth is remaining warm. That is the reason why earth is remaining warm. But when their level increases in the limited quantity, more than the limited quantity, when the level of greenhouse gases increases in the atmosphere, what will happen? They will trap more heat energy that will cause the increase of temperature. That will cause increase of temperature not only in one place but globally. They will cause the increase of temperature all over the earth. Okay, so due to the presence of greenhouse gases in more than limited quantity causes the increase of level of temperature in the atmosphere. So when the level of temperature increases all over the earth, that means the level of temperature increases globally, we can call it as global warming. So you understood what is global warming and also understood the relationship between the greenhouse effect and global warming. So let's underline now what is greenhouse effect. Let's see greenhouse effect. Yes, sun is the ultimate source of heat and light for the earth. Then sun's energy travels. So these points we can leave. So solar radiation has no difficulty in passing through the atmosphere to the earth's surface. Solar radiation, you understood, sun rays from the earth easily reaches to the earth space. Okay, it is observed and retained by the earth. So the observed heat is then radiated as long waves. I told you what is short wave and what is long wave. When it is gone back to the space, it is called long wave. So outgoing terrestrial radiation, mainly infrared rays. Some of the gases in the earth atmosphere act like a glass in the greenhouse. So we discussed that greenhouse, which are the green house gases: CO2, carbon dioxide, water vapor, and what is that? CFC, methane, etc. These are all greenhouse gases. So these greenhouse gases do not allow the heat energy to escape. That only we are discussing here. So the observed heat is then radiated as long waves. Outgoing terrestrial radiation, mainly infrared. Some of the gases in the atmosphere act like a glass in the greenhouse. So carbon dioxide and water vapor act as a greenhouse in the sense that these gases allow the visible light of the sun to reach the surface of the earth and observe the outgoing terrestrial radiation. Observe means they observe the outgoing. They observe and they do not allow them to go back. So mainly so these heat energy, when it is observed by the greenhouse gases, what happened? Temperature increases in the atmosphere. Clear? Okay, then here the name of greenhouse, so that temperature increase. So you have to learn also the name of greenhouse gases by Earth, which are the greenhouse gases. Then next, what is that? Global warming. This already we discussed. What is that? Solar energy is interrupted by Earth, at the same time radiates energy into the outer space. Incoming and outgoing radiation process. So children, you don't have to go through all the points, like you have to only understand the main point. What is global warming is that, what is that? The level of temperature increases in the atmosphere more than the optimum level. So there is an optimum level of temperature is favorable, but if the level of temperature increases due to the increase of the greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide. Okay, why? Because nowadays people are cutting down the trees, and greenhouse gases like level of carbon dioxide nowadays day by day increasing. Because plants, the forest coverage is there, we plant more trees, what happens? They consume more carbon dioxide, so that they photosynthesis is taking place. For that they use carbon dioxide. So and also from the industries and all, nowadays carbon dioxide industries and motor vehicles and all, huge quantity of carbon dioxide is released in the atmosphere. So the level of carbon dioxide increases, so that what happens? This act as a greenhouse and do not allow the sun rays to escape from the earth's surface. So that will increase the level of temperature. Okay, so what is that? We have to underline here the balance between the sun's heat that reaches the surface and the heat radiated by this earth determines the temperature at the surface of the earth. So what happened? The earth radiating back to the heat energy which is radiated back to the space is less in quantity. Understood? That means if the earth's surface start observing more heat energy, and these greenhouse gases, if they start acting as a glass house, that will increase the level of temperature in the atmosphere. Okay, so according to all these, we don't have to go. So increase the amount of carbon dioxide in which, along with other gases, enhances the what is that absorption of radiation from the earth's surface, which result in the warming of lower atmosphere. So this process, this is called global warming. And the next is the effect. What are the serious effect of global warming? Temperature will increase in a very high level, so that what happens? Serious threat. It's a serious problem. Okay, recently we are facing lot of problem due to the global warming that will bring about the climatic changes. One of the serious impact is that there are polar region, North Pole and South Pole. What happened here? These are ice is there in this region. Okay, the ice start melting. Why? Because the temperature, when it increases, this will also affect the polar region. Temperature will also increase in the polar region. That will cause the melting of ice. Okay, when the ice is melted, what happens? This water, huge quantity of water reaches into the ocean. So that what happens? The level of ocean water increases. When the level of ocean water increases, what happens? The area of land decreases. So that what happens? People who are living near the coastal region, those who are living near the coastal region and all, no, they will have to move. They will lose their settlement. Then they will have to move from their place. Then another serious impact is that, you see, people who are living in the equatorial region, you see the temperature, so equator, the middle of the earth. So here the maximum temperature is there always. So here the temperature will become beyond the level of toleration. So when the temperature is too much, very high, then slowly people will have to shift. Okay, you can see the shift. They will have to slowly shift from this region, they will have to shift slowly from the equatorial region, and slowly you can scientist says that in future this polar region, no, here the living condition, the climatic condition becomes suitable for the life. So they can see the slowly people will shift from equatorial region to polar region like that. Then it can bring another serious threat is that change of climate. Okay, change in climate, climatic change. So climatic change is another serious impact of climatic change is another serious impact of this global warming. Climate change, how the climate change is recently we are experiencing this climate change. So you see flood is occurring in southern part of the country, then cyclone, then fluctuation in even in the winter season, fluctuation, drastic fluctuation in the temperature condition. All these such kind of serious impact can cause due to the global warming. Now let us read from the lesson the points. Let's see here, points are underlined. Shrinking of ice cover in the Arctic and Antarctic region, Alaska and Greenland region. The sea level will rise, so sea water will submerging coastal regions. This we discussed. The increased sea temperature has damaged 90% of the coral reef in the Indian Ocean. Coral reef, so sea temperature, you know, the temperature in the sea also increases. That will damage all the marine organism, all the coral reefs and all the living beings in the oceans and sea water and all can die out. Why? They cannot live in that high temperature. Okay. Then increasing global temperature may adversely affect the evaporation rate of surface water, soil moisture. So you see, when the temperature increases, what happens? That will also causes the evaporation, increase of evaporation. That will cause the increase of evaporation rate. So when the evaporation rate increases, what happens? The rainfall also increases. So that will increase the humidity. When the maximum rainfall will add more humidity in the atmosphere. So this humid condition is not much favorable for the human life. Humidity increasing is not so good. So all these serious impact. Then the next is that we continue discussing. So increases adversely evaporation rate of surface soil moisture, precipitation. This would cause drying agricultural land, hence reducing average and total crop production. So agricultural land, you see excess of rainfall and at the same time high amount of temperature. So all these can very seriously affect the agriculture. So the drought season will be excess of dryness will be there. So that will completely dry up the agricultural land, and the serious heavy rainfall is also not favorable for the growth of crops. So there would be a serious problem in the ecological balance. So all these changes in the season and increasing of level of temperature and ocean water, all these will causes a disbalance in the ecosystem and it will affect the life of the human being. Okay children, yes, with this I am winding up the topic. You have to go through the question answers and all. Study material is being sent. If you have any doubt, you can